Okay, I think I'm live. All right. Good evening, everyone. I figured I wouldn't have a ton of you after midnight with no notice showing up to join me here on YouTube or Facebook Live. But I was reminded just a moment ago that I had wanted to do a video to address some of the things that are coming out, some hot topics of conversation, some targets of accusations, and basically, at the very least, some questions that people have been having. So, first of all, sorry if I look super tired and thoroughly exhausted, but I am. Even more so than I was, well, before August or before November. But okay, I changed my mind. Can you hit the pause button? Because on that, it's we're debating leaving the music on in the background, and it's a very interesting song that's decided to play on my computer over there. So, I'm gonna cough. I don't know where. Just dying. It's no big deal. It's COVID. So, one of the things I wanted to do is address. Okay, so we all know. I'm assuming if you're watching this video, you know what happened to the restaurant owner from Holland. I actually don't have any updates for you on that. So if that's what you're looking for, then you're gonna have to tune into a different channel. What I do want to do though now is address some of the issues that have come out about that. So if you've watched the video from what happened in court on Friday, then you saw, well, depending on which video you saw, because there were some that were tiny chunks, there were some that were bigger chunks. The video that I saw was Rick Martin, the self-proclaimed constitutional attorney from the Constitutional Law Group, who was attempting to represent the business owner, the restaurant owner, in court. Only once he got called out on the fact that he's not an attorney, then he started backpedaling big time. The interesting thing, though, is that there's people out there that are really on the bandwagon of, well, he's a legitimate attorney. He has every right to represent people. It's, it's a farce that you have to be a licensed attorney, all this other kind of stuff, okay? So there's that side of it. Then you have people that have the conspiracy theory version about what a bar attorney really is. And then, of course, you have those that talk about what bar attorneys do or don't do. So I'm going to hopefully address all of that fairly quickly. I do want to remind you guys that I did a video, I want to say, is between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And it thoroughly went through what oath any attorney has to take in any state, because believe it or not, I had actually finally gone to Rick Martin's website and looked up. He had quite a few good things, and I kind of was like, oh, that's interesting. That's good information in general. I didn't look anything thoroughly over, but of course I started to see the handouts and flyers and things that people have been posting on their businesses, and he totally misstates the law on those. And then I went to the page where he talks about what a bar attorney is, and he's just making stuff up, totally making it up off the top of his head. Literally everything he said on there is a bunch of lies, bunch of garbage. So I did a video talking about what a bar attorney really is, what the oath of office is like for an attorney. And I just did a statistical sampling, like literally just grabbed, at the time we were really heavily talking about the election still, even in national media outlets. And so the states that were commonly still being talked about, we had Florida, Michigan, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Texas, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York. There were others, but those are the ones off the top of my head that I remember. I just grabbed those states because they were in the news at the time. I looked up what their oath of office is for the attorneys, to be a licensed attorney in those states. What is the oath of office? because people like Rick Martin claim that attorneys, licensed bar attorneys, they take an oath to, supposedly, to the judge, to the court. He goes on there on his website and says not only that, but he says that they don't take an oath to the Constitution. He says they don't take an oath to, represent clients vigorously, that kind of thing. That is the biggest load of garbage that he could be peddling to you. So that night, I did a video that went all those states I just mentioned, plus more, whichever ones I can't remember off the top of my head right now. I literally read to you what the oath of office is. And the one thing that's in common with all of them, I printed off, because I don't know what you guys can exactly see. Yeah, you could see one of my federal, I have 2, 3, 4, whatever, federal court bar admissions, and I've been admitted to practice in 2 separate states, state courts, a tribal court in the Saginaw Chippewa tribe. It's its own sovereign nation. So anyway, that one's a little different because it is its own sovereign nation. But all the other ones have one thing in common, that you have to take an oath to uphold the U.S. Constitution. And for all the state courts, they also had something else in common, which was that in order to be a licensed attorney, you have to take an oath to uphold that state's constitution. There was never anything anywhere in there that said you're taking an oath to the court, to the judge, to the bar association, anything, nothing. The only thing that was common with all of them, though, was that you are taking an oath to uphold the U.S. Constitution. And if it was a state bar, to that particular state's constitution. So I just want to set the record straight. There's more details on, much more details on all of those states and their attorney licensing provisions and all that in that video that Lori may or may not have found at some point. Who knows? Maybe she will, and she'll put it in the comments. We'll see. But I just challenged her. She's really excited about that right now. Otherwise, you guys can look on there. It's not like I've done a lot of videos or anything. So maybe some of the hashtags will help. At any rate, I can answer more questions about that, but I just realized the comments aren't showing. Give me a second, guys. I'm not sure why the comments aren't showing. Wow. Okay. There they are. Good morning. Oh, it is technically morning. Okay. Oh boy. It just skipped a whole bunch. Okay. Do I know what time it is? I pretty much never sleep. So if you're asking me, do I know what time it is? But representing yourself as a legal attorney when you are not is a crime, correct? Yes, that is one of the big things I have. So I'm going to go into all that too. But yeah, let's just jump to that. Okay, this is one of my not as organized. Usually I try to be very organized in presenting information to you guys. But the question, well, I've talked to Carl's lawyer a little bit. He is willing to represent her. But the attorney that ended up appearing by Zoom in the end of the video, if you guys saw that, is actually an attorney that I've worked with a little bit, even on my own case of what happened to me on election day. So I have not had a chance to talk with him in any kind of detail about her case. I would love to be helping her myself, but I think by now she knows that I'm a wee bit busy on my own case. And answer the allegation that you're also swearing. Yes, I'm certainly going to do that. But shoot. Okay, there it is. I was answering. So I'm seeing comments from YouTube and from Facebook at the same time. So some of you, well, half of you are going to see each question. So, all right. So the question about representing yourself, the problem with Rick Martin, the question here is, representing yourself as a legal attorney when you are not is a crime. Well, regardless of the crime aspect, It is against the law, I will at least tell you that, it is against the law to practice law in Michigan without a law license. Now, I wasn't making a big stink about that part of it. What I was upset about is that Rick Martin, claiming he was an attorney, number one, he filed an appearance in the court saying he's an attorney. He did not file a Sixth Amendment assistance of counsel document. He filed an appearance, meaning he's filing to represent her. He literally has gone around and done videos and showed up in court talking about representing her. He's called her his client. Let's stop playing the word games. He went there, he's telling people he's a constitutional lawyer and that he's representing her as a lawyer. Then, when the judge calls him out and says, "Are you licensed in this state?" And he ends up saying no. And she says, "Are you licensed in any other state?" And he has to say, "Well, no, I'm not." That information's right on his website. I don't think he'd want to lie about that. He then backpedals. He says, he throws her under the bus. She's sitting right there next to him. And he says, "Well, I didn't really know I was going to be here as her attorney. I just thought I was coming to help because she doesn't know how to speak the English language very well." He's not an interpreter. He's claiming to be a lawyer. So the problem that I had with him is that he lied. He lied by filing the appearance. Then he played a bunch of word games. And if you heard his answer, he begged the judge for time to speak on his behalf, which he should have. If he's going to be thrown in jail, he definitely should be able to speak on his own behalf. So the judge snapped that she was only going to give him 1 minute. The very first thing he said was that, well, there's this case, Sims versus something or another. Yeah, doesn't really matter. He says this case, right? And how his argument was that this case says that the practice of law is a common law right, that you can practice law just having that right. And he talks about common law. Okay, that kind of hinges on another point we're going to cover. But he's saying that he doesn't have to be a licensed attorney. Now, literally in the very next breath, he's saying, "Well, I didn't know I was going to be here as her attorney. I'm just here to help as assistance of counsel. I'm not really representing her." You can't have it both ways. Are you representing her or not? Are you her attorney or not? He's trying to play both sides of that fence because he has a game where he plays outward to the press, to Glenn Beck, to any, like, hey, I'm the big man on campus. I'm the super awesome constitutional attorney. And then he cranks it up a notch, and all of you bar attorneys, I'm going to insult you. I'm going to insult all the effort and the time and the money and everything you've spent your whole life on the work that you're doing, and say that you bar attorneys are nothing and that I'm a real attorney. I'm a constitutional attorney. I'm an assistance of counsel attorney is what he calls it. The sad thing is, he's equating assistance of counsel and attorney. So if you actually look at the cases, his theory about that you don't need to be licensed to be assistance of counsel, that part is not far off. The whole history of having assistance of counsel when you're charged with a crime, it goes to the idea of, being able to have friends or family, people that you trust, that you can receive counsel from, that, gosh, there's something going on. I think I might want to make a plea here, but, plead guilty onto to this offense, but I want to hash it out first. I want to talk it out first. Well, that was the whole point of being able to have the assistance of counsel. Those individuals were not attorneys. It's your friends and family, people that you trust. So then you had a whole bunch of other ugly stuff that happened. I'm not going to go into the whole history of how we came to say that we have a right to assistance of counsel. But the Sixth Amendment talks about in criminal cases that you have the right to assistance of counsel. That, by that definition, is talking about attorneys. that you have the right to be represented by an attorney. Now, the thing is, when you're represented by the attorney, the way that the system is set up is basically that attorney has the right to make all kinds of decisions on your behalf. In fact, they can waive your presence to be, physically present in the courtroom at your trial. They can, make agreements on your behalf. They can do all kinds of things, waive all kinds of your rights. I don't think that should be the case. I think attorneys should be able to be there to make the legal arguments, that attorneys should be able to run direct examination and cross-examination, but that's a whole nother issue, okay? So I think the defendants should always retain 100% control and authority over giving their consent to giving up any of their rights. But that's a different issue than what Rick Martin was raising. So one thing I want to talk about real quick, then, he talks about bar attorneys. That was one of the questions we saw here. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of...
You were talking about the allegation that you are also swearing allegiance to Britain. Is that right?
Yeah, something like that.
Another one bringing up bar attorney versus common law attorney, so I think they kind of coincide.
Okay, so let's talk about the bar attorney thing for a minute, okay? So there's this, how do I want to handle this? Okay, there's the rumor that bar attorney means British Accredited Registry. So if you are a bar attorney, the people are saying it's an acronym. It stands for British Accredited Registry. No, it doesn't. It's a word, bar. It's a bar association. So let's just look at the Black's Law Dictionary, okay? It is the most commonly used dictionary in all courts all across the country. In fact, I've never even heard of another law dictionary. There's a lot of them that are online popping up, but they're not legit. This is literally the only brand I've ever even heard of used by courts, okay? So bar association, okay? That's one of these elements here. An organization of members of the legal profession. Wow, that doesn't sound super sketchy or have anything to do with Britain. Local bar association, a bar association organized on a local level, such as an association within a city or county. Okay. State bar association. Literally, an association or group of attorneys that have been admitted to practice law in a given state. A bar association organized on a statewide level, often with compulsory membership. Michigan does have required membership. If you are licensed in the state of Michigan to practice law, you are a member of the State Bar of Michigan. That's actually a law in Michigan. Most attorneys don't know that. It's in chapter 600. Don't remember the last, maybe it's like 0.1842. At any rate, though, that is a law that says all members of the State Bar of Michigan are actually part of a public body, that the State Bar of Michigan itself is a public body. And so as a member of the State Bar of Michigan, as an attorney, a licensed attorney and a member of the State Bar of Michigan, you are a public officer. All public officers, if you look up MCL 15.151, says that even if you're not listed as one of the specific constitutional positions, you have to, as a public officer, take the oath of office, which is in Article 11, Section 1 of our state constitution. Pretty sure that also coincides with Article 6 of our U.S. Constitution, that if you're in one of the three main, three branches of government, you have to take an oath. What is that oath? To uphold the U.S. Constitution. And in our state constitution, that constitutional oath is to uphold the U.S. and Michigan constitutions. That's literally it. If you have any doubt about what the oath is for any constitutional oath of office at all, look up Article 11, Section 1 of our state constitution. It literally says in there what the oath is. And then I want to say it's like the second sentence. Where's my constitution? It literally says in there that you can have no other oaths. No other oath, affirmation, or any religious test shall be required as a qualification for any office or public trust. Literally, that's what it says. So, in case you have any doubt about it at all, we literally have a law on the books in the state of Michigan that says if you are an attorney, you are part of the Michigan State Bar. As a licensed attorney, you are a part of the Michigan State Bar. The Michigan State Bar is a public organization. It's a public body. So you are a public official if you are a licensed attorney in the state of Michigan. As a public official and as an attorney who's licensed, you have to take the oath of office. That oath of office is the same for all public officers. Article 11, Section 1 of our state constitution, which says, I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this state, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of whatever that office is to the best of my ability. That's it. And then it says, no other oath, affirmation, or any religious test shall be required as a qualification for any office or public trust. No other oath. You can't take an oath to the court. You can't take an oath to the judge. You can't take an oath to the bar association. No other oath. I don't know how to make that any more clear. So, do we take an oath to the made up, fictional British accredited registry? No, because it doesn't exist, number one. And number two, if it did exist, we have in our Constitution that says we can't take an oath to anything else. And no one's ever proven, even remotely close, that there's any kind of other oath other than just the rumor. So in here, in the Black's Law Dictionary, like I said, it literally says it's just an association or group of attorneys that have been admitted to practice law in a given state. The Bar Association organized on a statewide level, often with compulsory membership. So that's it. There's nothing about Britain. I can read to you over and over. It talks about, there's a lot. Not even one mention of British accredited registry, none of that stuff. It's made up. I don't know if you guys have any more questions about that. There's like a page and a half here of really boring definitions that I could read to you. It's just examples and historical definitions. Bar. In a courtroom, the railing that separates the front area where court business is conducted from the back area, which provides seats for observers. Seriously. So I don't know how much more we want to read into this. Do you guys have any more questions about that? If you do, let me know, and hopefully, are you on it right now? Can you see
the questions?
Yeah.
I think some people are confused about the appearance thing. They're saying she's not, one person is saying she's not a defendant. She's a sovereign citizen, but another person says, can't you represent yourself? So it's
Okay.
Too much?
So it's been a long day. It's been a long year, and I kind of don't have patience for some of the stuff. So you can always represent yourself. In fact, there's been some situations where courts or government entities try to say, well, in this situation, you have to have an attorney. BS. You don't ever have to have an attorney. That can't be forced upon you. There's conflicting case law about that. That's a whole nother topic. But you have a right to defend yourself because God gave you your liberties. He didn't give them to somebody else. He didn't say you have to have this representation in order to exercise your God-given liberties. No, you can defend your own self. So she can represent herself. She doesn't have to be an attorney. I'm representing myself in my own case in Allegan County, which I would do, probably do it if I wasn't a licensed attorney, because at this point I've read way more laws on everything to do with this whole situation than I guarantee you any attorney in the state of Michigan. Guaranteed, hands down. It just so happens I am a licensed attorney, so I'm going to represent myself. Appearance. So what was the other part to that question?
I probably said too much. Well, the appearance, I think people are getting confused by him writing the appearance. They don't understand that by writing that.
Okay, so here's the definition of an appearance. I think if I'm understanding correctly, there's some of you that you're confused thinking, well, he's not really lying by filing an appearance. He's lying because filing an appearance is literally a piece of paper that is filed with the court that says, I am an attorney and I am representing this individual. And I am representing this attorney this client as a licensed attorney. I'm a licensed attorney. I'm admitted to practice in this state, and I'm going to represent this client in this case. That's literally the definition of an appearance. Speaking of definition for appearance, Black's Law Dictionary, which, by the way, I had never even looked up in Black's before right now. So I'm winging it, but I feel that confident about this. So an appearance, it is coming into court as the party. You file your own appearance if you're, coming into court. When you're a defendant in a criminal case, you don't file an appearance. But you do that in a civil case. Or as a lawyer on behalf of a party. I'm just looking to see if there's any other steps about, nope, it's talking about going to trial court or appellate court. What the English courts did is not what we do. So an initial appearance, a criminal defendant's first appearance in court to hear the charges read, to be advised of her rights, and to have bail determined. In a misdemeanor case, the initial appearance may be combined with the arraignment. So there's nothing in here that justifies being able to appear on behalf of somebody else, representing them as their lawyer without trying to claim that you're a lawyer. I mean, that's literally the definition. So do I agree with the judge's demeanor in the video from what we saw on Friday? How she treated the restaurant owner, how she treated Rick Martin? No, I don't. Obviously not with the restaurant owner. I feel like there's a second half of the video that must have happened that we just didn't see. So I don't know exactly how it panned out, but no, she never should have talked to Marlena that way at all. That's not what I'm saying. That's not defensible. Should she have talked that way to Rick Martin? I don't think it was appropriate for the demeanor that she used, but the words that she used were actually pretty appropriate. So she at one point was talking about that it's the definition of an appearance and how he was trying to play word games with that. That's exactly what he was trying to do. He was backpedaling. He was trying to play games with the fact that he filed an appearance and said he was representing her. That is the definition of what an appearance is. He is saying, I am an attorney licensed in the state of Michigan, and I'm going to file an appearance to come on behalf of this other person and represent them. You can't do that in the state of Michigan by law. I'm not saying I agree with it or don't agree with it at this point. I'm just telling you there is a law that says you cannot represent somebody else as an attorney unless you are a licensed attorney. Again, the Bar Association has nothing to do with England, has nothing to do with some acronym. It literally stands for the definition I just read to you. It's an association of attorneys who are licensed to practice in any given state. That's literally the definition. That's it. An appearance is literally what I just read to you. It's as simple as that. So here's the ironic thing. Let's see if I can remember to say it as good as I said it last night. So the ironic thing is that you have a lot of these constitutional groups or advocates that talk about common law, that talk about, Rick Martin talked about that his argument was that he had a common law right to represent her in the court, that he had a common law right to practice law. There's a lot of discussion in terms of how do we handle everything that's going on, all the corruption. We have all the election corruption. We have corruption from our attorney general and our governor and our secretary of state and the judges. And, it's corruption everywhere. What can we do about it? What's the source of our powers? And you have people talking about, well, it's the common law, that we can just forget all that, man's law, the civil law, the statutory law. The real deal is common law. We need to be pretty clear about this, okay? So there's God's law and there's man's law. We always have God's law, okay? That's always there and it always rules. As far as law goes, you have common law and you have the civil law. In general, the most basic terms. So what is the difference? What is the distinction? Civil law is the body of law imposed by the state as opposed to the moral law, right? So it's saying man's law versus God's law. So man's law is the legislature goes and they make laws. They vote on a particular act, a bill, and then the governor signs it and then it becomes law. That is civil law. It's the law of civil or private rights. That's also one way to look at it, okay? So our legislature has been far out of control for quite some time now, but in general, I think we can all agree, if you're watching this video, you probably agree that it should be the legislature that makes the laws. Shouldn't be the governor. Shouldn't be the Secretary of State. Shouldn't be the Attorney General. It should be the legislature. It should be the people that were elected to literally make laws, right? Okay, so then I'm wondering why some of those same people that view it the same way would then advocate for the common law, given that this is what common law is. Common law is the body of law derived from judicial decisions rather than from statutes or constitutions. So judge-made law versus statutes or constitutions. Why would that be a good thing? American common law, the body of judge-made law that developed during and after the United States' colonial period, especially since independence. The body of law made by judges. Too bad we're not all in person, because this is the point where I'd say, if you think it's a good idea for judges to make law, please raise your hand. And then I would ask for someone to escort you out. If you think it's a good idea for judges to make law, you're living in the wrong country. If you really are a constitutional advocate, you would advocate for the fact that it should be the legislature or the legislative body that's making any kind of law. And even then it needs to be limited, and certainly it must comply with the restrictions of our Constitution. So, common law, bad. Civil law, less bad. The Constitution is the main law of the land. It's the supreme law of the land. All of our statutory laws, what we typically think of as laws, statutes on the books, the bills, the acts, those are the civil law after the Constitution, of course. Common law, judge-made law. It's always been bad. Where did it come from? Well, the irony of somebody like Rick Martin or the Constitutional Law Group or any of these other constitutional advocates is that they're sitting out here saying the Bar Association is bad. Bar attorneys are bad because they have an allegiance to this supposed British accredited registry, and it's bad. Okay, which is not true, but that's their argument. And then they say, but I can be an attorney because under the Constitution, I have a common law right to be an attorney, and that's good. The common law is good, and the common law is the source of my rights, and it's good. Here's the irony. Common law is judge-made law. That's bad. Common law is from England. It's literally because in England, they didn't have a written constitution. They had a lot of things that were done by courts. Laws were essentially made by situations that developed, cases that developed in courts. It's the body of judge-made law. So when we came over to the United States, before it was the United States, and we had to start somewhere. We had a system of government. We had a system of, local governments and state governments that were developing even as we were colonies. And then once we became the United States of America, we had to start somewhere, and we had the system of courts. And until we could find, get our legislative bodies, Congress, in place and have them enact laws, we had to start somewhere. We had to have some way of knowing, how are we going to resolve disputes here between one person and another, between one person and the government? Well, we're going to rely on the common law. Okay. It's not very common, though. It's definitely not common knowledge. You can't just look up common law and find it all listed somewhere, because it's not law. It's judge-made law. So common law is awful. It's horrible. And it's something that came from England. It's actually the thing that came from England, and it's bad. And yet this is what the constitutional advocates are saying. And that's the reason they're saying that bar attorneys are bad, because bar supposedly means something that's tied to England. It's not a thing. So just look up Google these definitions. Certainly, if you can get get your hands on a Black's Law Dictionary, look up civil law, look up common law, certainly look up American common law, look up bar association, look up the word appearance. Don't take my word for it. Just go ahead and look it up yourself. I just want you guys to have the facts. And that's one of the main reasons why I was so upset that Rick Martin has been running around our state, acting like he's an attorney, calling himself a constitutional lawyer, and giving bad advice to businesses all across the state. I've been busting my ass every single day since the first week of April last year. Haven't taken a single day off in almost an entire year. I'm exhausted, and no one's paying me. I'm living on donations. I haven't taken a single day off, not Christmas, not Thanksgiving, not my birthday, not my anniversary, not my husband's birthday, my kids' birthdays, none of it. I'm working every single day to fight for freedom. And yet most attorneys are not doing the same thing I am right now. I don't have a list of attorneys that I can just refer cases to. I don't. I wish I did, especially by now. Where are they all? I don't know. They're still doing their bankruptcies. They're still doing their divorces. They're okay having COVID courts where everybody's doing it by Zoom. I don't know. That's not me. I'm going to be an advocate for the Constitution until the day that I die. So it's upsetting to me. Whether you're a licensed attorney or not is irrelevant on this point. If you are out there giving misinformation for people, I heard there's a group out there, a law group. I heard that it's even a group I used to actually work with, and my name was on legal briefs with them. So I'm hoping I'm wrong about that part. But I heard that there's an organization out there that's telling people in Michigan that the law says that a business or a school, if they want you to wear a mask, if they want to make you wear a mask, then the law says it's okay and they can do that. Number one, no matter what any law says, the Constitution is what rules. And the Constitution is not created to carve out and define our rights. The Constitution is literally made so that we're creating a government for the sole purpose of protecting our God-given liberties. That's it. So that when I exercise my rights and my liberties, I'm not going so far as to then trample upon your liberties and your God-given freedoms. So it's literally, government was literally created through our Constitution to be the mediator, to resolve disputes on how to exercise our rights. Government doesn't have its own rights. It can't own property on its own. It doesn't have its own source of rights. The only rights the government gets, we give it. It has no authority on its own. Government doesn't have its own sovereignty. Look at Article 1, Section 1 of our state constitution. We have the sovereignty. We have all the political power. It's we, the people, who created the US Constitution, who created the state constitution. It starts, we, the people. That's not a cute little catchphrase. It's we, the people. We have the power. So the government doesn't have the power, doesn't have the authority to just do whatever they want. And then we have to ask for permission. I don't think so. If you are in government, you work for me. You better ask for permission from me. If it's in the Constitution that you are allowed to do something, great, then you've gotten the permission from the people. If the Constitution has not given you the authority to do something, then as a government official, you do not have the authority to do it. That's how the Constitution works. So it's important that we're being truthful about what the Constitution does, what it doesn't do, who has authority and who doesn't have authority. And I don't even know why somebody would start some ridiculous garbage rumor about bar associations being related to Britain. I've seen some really smart people believe that without seeing one scintilla of evidence whatsoever. And it's really disturbing. But again, it doesn't matter if you're a licensed attorney or a fake attorney. If you're out there giving fake information or bad information, misinformation, if you're just straight up lying to people, I don't care if you're a lawyer, a doctor, a governor, a criminal, I don't care. To me, if you're giving people misinformation about the Constitution or about the law, you should be held accountable. Because none of that's okay. So hopefully that answers your questions. I'm mad because for Rick Martin's example, he's out there parading around going on shows like Glenn Beck, and I don't know if he went on Tucker Carlson's show with Marlena, but he's out there giving information to people, acting as though he can provide something that he apparently doesn't know enough about to provide. In fact, I've never even heard him once mention actually any of the Michigan laws. If he's going to come here to Michigan to represent Michigan people, shouldn't he have read the laws? Any of them? I don't know. Shouldn't he know the history of any of the executive orders? Because it sounds like somewhere along the way, one of these government agencies that's trying to go after Marlena was using 2020 Executive Order 2020-4. If that's accurate, if what I saw and what I heard about that is true, 2020-4 was rescinded by the governor herself. Then she issued another one. Then she rescinded that and issued another one. Then she rescinded that and issued another one. She's done that multiple times. But no matter what, it was never constitutional. But even if you don't want to say that it was unconstitutional up until April 30th, the Michigan Supreme Court was pretty darn clear. On October 2nd, they made it exceedingly clear that it's unconstitutional to exercise those powers in such a way. And so all of the executive orders were null and void at the very least, at the very latest by April 30th. Well, this particular restaurant owner, I'm pretty sure, was not open. I'm 99.9% certain she did not open until after April 30th. So if we're hinging everything on the fact that she's a health risk, creating a health risk for people because she's violating this, the governor's orders, the one they're claiming she violated is not valid and wasn't valid and had nothing to do with the situation. So again, whether you're a licensed attorney or not, pay attention. If you're going to represent someone, if you're going to try to help them, at least pay attention to some of those details. How about some of these laws? The laws where these local health departments are trying to make these rules about masks and all that other stuff, they don't have the authority to do that. They're doing that under the Public Health Code. MCL 333.2253, I believe, is the local health authorities. And then MCL 333.2453 is the state health department. I might have those two backwards, but one's one and one's the other. And they only have the authority to do one of three things. None of those things are to require masks. They can offer services. They can make sure that they're continuing they're ensuring the continuation of essential health services. A service is something that you can take or not take. It can't be forced upon you. They can enforce health laws that are already on the books. They can't create their own. And they can supposedly prohibit the gathering of people for any purpose. But I'm pretty sure that the US and Michigan constitutions unequivocally say we have the right to assemble, peaceably assemble, and it can't be abridged. Let me see. I think of course, our US Constitution is the First Amendment. Our state constitution is Article 1, Section 3, and it's literally called Assembly, Consultation, Instruction, and Petition. And it starts off by saying the people have the right peaceably to assemble. Mind you, that in the preamble, just a few sentences before, it says that we, the people of the state of Michigan, grateful to Almighty God for the blessings of freedom and earnestly desiring to secure these blessings undiminished to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution undiminished. So we have the right to peaceably assemble, and that right shall remain undiminished. So does the Public Health Code, can it empower, can the legislature make a law that gives the public health authority the right to say you cannot assemble? No, they can't, because it's not, the Constitution clearly says they can't do that. Oh, and what's another thing? Well, if you own a business of any kind, restaurant, no restaurant, doesn't matter. If you own a business and the government's trying to tell you that it's, because of these orders, it's now illegal for you to run your business. Okay. And literally the sole thing that they're saying that you're doing wrong is literally just being open. That's it. They're not saying that there's actually some other, substantiated risk or harm or anything like that. Guess what? Our US and our Michigan constitutions have a little thing in there that says, government, you can't interfere with contracts. In fact, our Michigan Constitution is Article 1, Section 10. Our US Constitution is Article 1, Section 9, Clause 3. And Article 1, Section 10, Clause 1. So what does this mean? Well, it says in here somewhere, we have too many sticky notes. What did I say? Article 1, Section 9. This is the US Constitution. It says, somewhere in here. Oh, that's the no bill of attainder. Well, I'm not going to talk about bill of attainder at this hour because that also is relevant here, but it's Article 1, Section 10, specifically talking about no state shall pass any law impairing the obligation of contracts. It's literally Article 1, Section 10 of our US Constitution. Article 1, Section 10, no state shall pass any law impairing the obligation of contracts. And our state constitution, Article 1, Section 10, no bill of attainder, ex post facto law, or law impairing the obligation of contract shall be enacted. So even if the legislature had enacted a law that would allow some government official to impair your ability to follow through on your business contracts, it would be unconstitutional. And an unconstitutional law is void on its face. It has no authority whatsoever. None. Do you have to follow that unconstitutional law until some court tells you that it's okay not to? No, because just look at Marbury versus Madison. It is not even existing. The unconstitutional law, unconstitutional statute, unconstitutional executive order, it's as though it never legally existed in the first place. It does not legally exist. It cannot legally give a government authority to act in any way. We've been just lying back and taking it for many, many years. Well, it's time to stand up and start doing something about it. So do you want to fight a fight about bar association when it's a made-up thing? The whole fight is made up. You want to keep fighting that fight? Do you want to fight about how the common law is a good thing? Judge-made law? You want to follow judge-made law? What judge do you know that should have the authority to run around making laws for us? I don't know of a single judge that I would trust to make laws that I would have to abide by. I would think I would have the same, want us all to follow the same rules.
Somebody's very disappointed in the lack of voice on our sovereignty. I understand now why attorneys have been the butt of jokes. They've been arguing about U.S. being a corporation and stuff like that too. So I think that's in one of your videos, and maybe I can find it. And I won't be able to tonight.
Here's the thing. If you guys think the U.S. is a corporation and that the Constitution's not even in place, then just give up and walk away. Why bother watching a video at midnight? Why bother? Oh, it's 1 o'clock in the morning now. Why bother doing anything to fight for freedom? If you believe the U.S. is a corporation and not a constitutional republic, then what are you even fighting for? If there's no constitution, there's no constitution. Just give up and walk away. It's already, just the same as China or Russia or Venezuela, right? If you think that, then it's already over. I don't believe that garbage. I believe in the Constitution. I believe in our state constitution. I believe in our U.S. Constitution. And no president would have the right, would have the authority to sign it over, to say, oh, I'm just going to sign the rights to the U.S. over to somebody. That's not how it works. A president might have done such a thing. Sure, Biden's doing a lot of stuff right now, and he has no authority to do it. So do you want to give it the authority? Do you want to come behind any kind of act like that if it actually did happen and then somehow give it legitimacy afterwards? I would not do that. As it stands, there is no authority for any president or any governing body, the Congress themselves. They have no authority to sell off the Constitution and our country and somehow make our country a corporation. There's no authority to do that. And again, where are you seeing that? Seriously, because I've seen a lot of the videos, I've seen a lot of the documents about this. I'm not seeing anything that's legit. What I do know, what is legit, is the U.S. Constitution that says we, the people, have the sovereign power. I'm looking at our state constitution that says we, the people, grateful to Almighty God for our blessings of freedom, created our state government via our state constitution. So I don't know. I think we also need to remember, let's see, was it Article 6 that says, Article 6 of our U.S. Constitution, this Constitution and the laws of the United States which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States, shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. Anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary notwithstanding. What does that mean? Let's say we had something in our state constitution that gave the right to the government to impair our contracts. Well, the U.S. Constitution says, no, ain't going to happen. It doesn't matter if your state constitution allows the government to do something. If the U.S. Constitution forbids it, then the state constitution can't give their government some sort of right to act or some sort of authority to act that they don't have in the U.S. Constitution. So the biggest thing to remember is rights don't come from the government. We don't get rights from the government. We got our rights from God. We came together and formed our country and our states and created these constitutions as an agreement, as a way to live together as a society, because we needed a way to be able to resolve disputes so that when I'm exercising my rights, it's not trampling yours. When you're exercising your rights, it's not trampling mine. And then our government comes in and they have the right to do certain things in order to ensure that our rights are protected. They have to have a system of courts. They have to have a way to have a legitimate system of laws be established. They have to have, somebody running the show, right? But that doesn't mean those people or those government bodies are that they have all kinds of power that just never ends. No, that's what it's grown into, but that's not the words of our Constitution. The government has no power or authority unless the Constitution, unless we the people have given them that authority. And nothing that we've seen in 2020 or 2021 is an example of the actual authority that the Constitution bestows upon any of those government officials. So as far as somebody being a sovereign, what was it? Sovereign, that she's a sovereign citizen? Is that what it was?
They were just bringing up sovereignty. The Sean Shoemate is asking you how many branches of government there are. So I think she's going to continue down the rabbit hole of the thing. So I'm not sure.
There are 3 branches of government. That's written in any of these constitutions. So we have Article 1, Article 2, and Article 3 of our U.S. Constitution that talk about the legislative, executive, and judicial branches. Then we have Article 4, Article 5, and Article 6 of our state constitution that talk about the legislative, executive, and judicial branches. We, in our state government, in our state constitution, even have Article 3, Section 2, that talks about the separation of powers of government, that says that the powers of government shall be divided into 3 branches: legislative, executive, and judicial. And no person exercising powers of one branch shall be exercising powers properly belonging to another branch, except as expressly authorized or provided in this Constitution. 3 branches of government.
I'm going to jump you over to, can people defend themselves? I think they're mixing that he filed an appearance versus her being able to defend herself. If he wanted to help her defend herself, there's a whole different.
Okay, so it sounds like you guys have a question about if the restaurant owner if she's allowed to be able to represent herself, and if she's allowed to have assistance of counsel, and somehow that by him filing an appearance, that's him not trying to be an attorney for her, but just help her represent herself. That's a load of garbage, because he literally filed an appearance, which I read the definition earlier in this video. He filed an appearance saying, I'm going to represent her. I'm going to speak on behalf of her, meaning I'm going to replace her. So if there's somebody that's going to stand up and do an oral argument, if there's going to be somebody who's going to question a witness, direct examination of a witness, or cross-examination of the other side's witness, it's going to be that attorney, that lawyer. He filed an appearance to represent her and speak on her behalf so that she is no longer representing herself. What he did is to say, by filing an appearance, he's saying, She's not going to represent herself. I'm going to represent her. That's what an appearance is. So he lied to the court because he is saying, I'm an attorney and I'm going to represent her. He didn't say, I know I'm not a licensed attorney, but I believe that there's a Sixth Amendment right to assistance of counsel, and I would like to assist her and provide counsel to her as she's representing herself. That's not what he said. That's not what he wrote. That's not even anything attempted. He literally has been out there saying, I'm her attorney, she is my client. That is a traditional lawyer-client relationship. That is what he was claiming. That is what he filed with the appearance, and that is why he was lying. Hopefully that clears that up.
You gotta pop up. How can we remove the protection from a FOIA?
How can we do, governor's protection?
Yeah, YouTube.
Okay, somebody was asking, okay, first of all, there's a really quick question. Please explain the difference between an attorney and a lawyer. They're synonyms. There's no difference. An attorney is a lawyer. Literally, they're synonyms. And hello to the person in Minnesota. I spent 10 years of my life there, got my law degree and my college degree and my high school diploma from there. So the question was asked, how can we remove the protections for the governor so that she doesn't have to answer FOIA requests? FOIA is a, well, there's this whole constitutional philosophical argument I have that we have the right to that information no matter what. But unfortunately, the practicality is that FOIA is a statute created thing. It's a law. So you have to have the legislature grow a pair and actually fix FOIA so that it applies to all government branches, all government levels. That is the way to fix FOIA. You have to call your state rep, you have to call your senator, you have to irritate the crap out of them and say, why are there carve-outs for FOIA? Government bodies all over the place are not following FOIA. They certainly haven't been doing it before COVID. They didn't do it through COVID, and now they're still not doing it. It's about time that we hold them accountable.
Somewhere in there, I think people are maybe not understanding the difference, if there is a difference between contempt of court and due process getting charged. If there is a difference.
Okay, so
because he got the contempt of court and goes to jail, isn't he entitled to due process? It's older, so I'm not quoting it exactly, because contempt of court is different than somebody getting picked up off the street.
So contempt of court is different than a criminal charge in that Rick Martin went into the court and lied to the court and disrespected the system of what was happening there. So he is, I don't know if he's still in there, but if he is, he's serving time right now for the contempt of court charge. If it was a criminal statute that he was being charged with, then, you know, the whole typical gamut of due process would apply. It's kind of a can of worms. I mean, no matter what you're charged with, you have the right to due process of law. You cannot be denied your life, your liberty, or your property without due process of law. Problem is, right now, it's a little fuzzy on what due process of law really means in a lot of situations. So, I'm
without getting into extreme detail.
Okay. So, did I see? It just skipped a whole bunch. Are there other questions that I'm?
They're asking about code of ethics and conduct violations. Governor and the AG, can that just be filed? Can the AG and governor have violations filed against them?
No, Timothy Locks, perception, deception. You're incorrect. There's no difference between an attorney and a lawyer, and the word games have got to stop. It's people like you that are causing problems and misinforming people. If you want to pick a fight against people that are trying to take away freedom, not those that are actually trying to fight for it. And don't confuse the masses when they're out there trying to sort through and figure out what all this stuff is. You have absolutely zero fact on your side to this, zero. There's no truth to anything that you're saying about the difference between attorney and lawyer. None whatsoever. So stop. As far as anybody who wants to be able to file an ethical violation or a complaint, our Attorney General, our Secretary of State, and our Governor are all licensed attorneys in the state of Michigan. You can file a complaint with the Attorney Grievance Commission at any point in time if you feel that what they are doing violates their code of ethics. Are they violating the law? Issuing executive orders when they're not constitutionally empowered or authorized to do so? Yeah, I'd say that's violating the law, violating the Constitution. Are they lying to people? Yeah, they are certainly lying to people. Are they being biased, and is there some sort of miscarriage of justice by what they're doing? Certainly what the Attorney General did, was it this morning or yesterday, when I saw her posting on her Facebook account some sort of timeline put together that at the very beginning talks about, compares it to Donald Trump and his the allegation that he was trying to get out of serving, in the military when he was younger. That had nothing to do with any of this stuff with Marlena's restaurant. Nothing. And yet our Attorney General, as the chief, she claims to be the chief law enforcement officer of our entire state. That's what she's posting to her official Facebook account, is some timeline that starts with talking about Donald Trump and what he did when he was younger. That's obviously a clear ethical violation. So, yes, if you would like to file any kind of complaint about these things that are happening, you can if you go to the Michigan court's website, you just Google Michigan Supreme Court. The court rules are there. If you want to look for the Michigan rules of professional conduct, that's on there. And if you want to search for Attorney Grievance Commission in Michigan, you can just Google those words. All of that will lead you to the rules themselves. You can put together what you believe to be the facts supporting the grievance that you would like to file, and you can submit it to the Attorney Grievance Commission. And anyone can do it. You don't have to be an attorney to file a grievance against an attorney.
Can you petition to change FOIA laws?
You can petition to change laws. I was petitioning this summer to change the whole Constitution in our state. Yeah, the funny thing is, Timothy Locke's perception deception, I actually do read the information. I was actually reading it to you, and you actually hide behind a fake name. So, yeah, I'm not afraid to say who I really am. And I don't actually ask people to take my word for any of this. I read every single constitutional provision to people, or law, or, when I've talked about cases, any of that, I'll read it to you and tell you how to find it so that you can check it yourself, because you don't have to take my word for it. The law should be the law of the people. But you just make up crap and you have nothing to back it up with, and you're on my video. So you can go somewhere else with that. That's totally fine. Yeah, no, you haven't. Okay. Holy cow, Micah, what are you doing up at this hour? That's ridiculous. Go to bed. What is the Constitution for the United States? Eyes on Corruption. I believe I was trying to send you a thank you and didn't have an address to send you one. I think back in December. So thank you. If you want to send me your address, I'd like to actually send you a legitimate thank you. Is she even legal to be on the bench? I'm assuming you mean the judge that we've seen in Marlena's case. I don't know anything about her credentials. I don't know anything about that. I don't. What? They don't want the public in the buildings with cameras, and I know why.
That's an old one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's a whole big thing. So, okay. Are there... It's nice to, well, I guess I can't see you. It's nice to see your screen name there, Micah. At least I got to see it 2 weeks ago. At least the meeting tonight was a lot shorter and a lot more pleasant than last week's meeting, or 2 weeks ago's meeting here in the township, where I had to educate some other board members on FOIA and the fact that the citizens have the right to get the information under FOIA, and we can't be upset when people FOIA the information that we're sending out on their behalf because we work for them somehow. That whole point was being lost. Yeah. So again, people that are talking about, whoa, where'd that go? No, the judge is not the jury. This is getting frustrating. Okay, guys, I'm gonna get to finishing an appeal that I'm working on, then I'm gonna go get some sleep and then come back and do this again. But there's a question, does she know the difference of a judge and a magistrate? The judge is the jury. That literally couldn't be farther from the truth. How do I know that? Well, I just so happen to be working on an appeal right now where I had a judge tell me that a defendant in a criminal case has no right whatsoever to raise any kind of legal challenge or legal defense to anything. Say, for example, if the court doesn't have subject matter jurisdiction. Say, for example, if the crime somebody's being charged with is not a crime. That's actually not accurate. The judge doesn't get to say that because it is the judge's job to apply the law, to share with the fact finder what the law is. But if the facts don't even matter, if the facts are not even disputed, then it is for the judge to determine what the applicable law is and to apply it to the situation and, for example, dismiss a case if they need to. Shoot, it just moved on me. Where is that question? Crap.
Does she know the difference?
Oh, there it is. Okay. So please, guys, please be careful. When you're out there trying to convey information, please check what you're hearing and what you're seeing and what you're reading. Look at it yourself. The judge is the person who decides issues of law. The jury is the body that decides issues of fact, unless people waive their right to a jury trial and they are wanting a judge to decide issues of fact, then they may do so by waiving the right to a jury. But other than that, the jury is the body that's deciding issues of fact. And a judge has to decide issues of law. And a magistrate is not some sort of better or higher version of a judge. It's actually a lesser version of a judge. And a magistrate is not even something that's empowered or found through the Constitution. Common law, again, is judge-made law. That's what common law means. So for all of you, any of you out there who are arguing back, well, but the common law allows us to do this, and the common law says that a magistrate is that. Common law is judge-made law. Do you want to follow judge-made law? First of all, how do you know what judge-made law is? You would have to look up every single case that ever happened on any particular topic. And that's what I've been doing for weeks on end about my own appeal. Let me tell you, it's not easy. It's not like it's listed in one, laundry list of all the laws that are on the books, because that's the way statutes are presented to the people. Legislatures have all of their laws in one place, typically, hopefully, because the people have a right to know the law ahead of time. That's part of due process. Judge-made law, common law, case law, that's not constitutional. It's something that existed before our constitutions were created and enacted. And then once we had our constitutions, and once we then had legislatures and, the Congress and then state legislatures to create statutes, then we no longer needed the common law that had been keeping us going in the meantime. But to say that common law overrides the statutory laws, then what's the point of following the Constitution at all? Because you're saying judges get to make the law. Where is that in the Constitution? So I'm not going to engage anymore about that. If you want to argue about the common law, you can go back to England and follow the common law. Otherwise, if you want to stay here in the United States of America, then you need to, follow the Constitution, which doesn't mean follow common law.
I think you're
Good.
Hey, shout out to Vicki Patterson. She's when you've answered a few of her questions, she can make a little bit on it. Vicki Patterson.
What?
She did.
No, not sorry. Jury by trial of your peers, not jury trial. Oh, Seth, I'm sorry, I'm getting really tired. You made a good point. The last time we spoke about whether I would have a trial of my peers, certainly not in Allegan County. And that judge has decided that he's going to try to have my whole trial by Zoom anyway, without me consenting to that, in violation of literally every state law, court rule, constitutional provision, federal statute, federal court rule, and constitutional provision. It even violates all these extra administrative orders and executive orders that we've had. So it's very interesting that this judge is really trying to just throw out everything and do what he wants to.
You're still looking for questions a little bit back on the
Common law is horrible, says the attorney. Yes, because it's judge-made law. Who are judges? They're attorneys who get to decide cases for people. So you're against the attorneys, but you're for judges? You think judges should make laws? Are you listening to yourself? Wow. Yeah.
Someone says instead of a FOIA, can they subpoena Whitmer to give her answers about nursing homes and hush pay money?
Yes, they can. What? Huh.
Somebody asking for the MCL pertaining to the health department. Those 333s. I think I can't remember which ones.
Creepy judges rule the towns. Okay, so all right, I think I got all the questions. Oh, okay, the public health code. Sorry, I didn't see your question there, Patty. The public health code is chapter 333 of our laws. There's one for the, I'm just talking about the public health code statute that they supposedly can make all these orders now, that we're doing that instead of the governor's orders. So the local health departments, there's a statute for them. The state health department, there's a statute for that. And those, the statutes they're using are 333.2253 and 333.2453. So neither one of those statutes give them the right to shut restaurants down just because you're open. I mean, that's ridiculous. So again, keep in mind, no matter what a state law says, if the state or federal constitution does not allow it, then it can't happen. It doesn't matter if there's a state law on the books. If it's not constitutional, it's not enforceable. So with that, guys, I think, yes, they do. So I appreciate you guys being engaged, asking questions, being on. Sorry, I'm kind of at my point where after a year of doing this nonstop every day for a year and being exhausted, and people are still arguing silly stuff that's not true about the Constitution, I kind of lose my patience about that. So it is what it is, though. I appreciate you guys. Yes. Okay. I just got a whole bunch of comments coming in at the same time. Yes. So I will provide more information and updates when I can. I don't think that I've gone away or that I've gone on vacation yet or taken a day off. I am still working every single day, and I will be releasing all the documents that I've been working on as soon as I have them all completed. But this is an uphill battle, and this is only just the beginning. So if you're fighting for freedom, if you love the Constitution, let's all stay on that side of the Constitution and not try to nitpick and fight and believe all these kinds of rumors and misinformation campaigns that are out there. Let's try to do the right thing. Read the Constitution, read the laws. You don't have to be an attorney to read the Constitution. You don't have to be an attorney to read the laws. This is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Let's just have it be of the truth. That's my main point here. So with that, I wish you guys all a wonderful evening, a great day tomorrow. And my next court date, well, hopefully I'll have appellate court dates pretty soon. They set my Zoom trial for next month in April. So I'll have that stuff shared shortly. But over my dead body, am I going to allow them to force me to do a Zoom trial? So, all right, guys, thank you very much. I hope you have a wonderful evening, and I will talk to you soon.